Todanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajaka Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON founder Acharya Savior of the whole world Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajaka Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन धाम की श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की श्री जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र धाम की श्री गंगा माँ यमुना माई की श्री भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशनल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन प्रोग्राम की श्रील प्रभुपाद साइंटिफिक प्रेजेंटेशन प्रोग्राम की Nidai Gaur Premanandi. All glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glorious, Srila Prabhupada and Gauranga. So, I should thank the management devotees here for kindly inviting me to give this program today. I'll be leaving in a few days overseas, so it's good that I was able to come here. Very nice decoration of the deities. It's very wonderful and very beautiful. I think they have put. Okay, so Chandan on the deities, right? On Dwarkadish, what is on Srinathji? He has got Chandan on him, you know. So, I want to speak today on this topic. What is the difference between our theology, our philosophy, and our science? I want to invoke spiritual auspiciousness by reading a verse from Srila Shukadeva Goswami. When Srila Shukadeva Goswami was asked to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, because his authority, from him Bhagavatam is descending in the form in which we know now, and he said, "May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements." This work I am presenting to you today is based on more than 40 years of work, and it is not the unauthorized speculations of an insignificant material mind, but it is a major project of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. This is directly his own project. Therefore, it is not within my power to explain this properly. When the time comes, even if I don't say, people will understand. And if the time is not right, no matter how much I try to say, people may not understand. So, therefore, I am praying to the Supreme Lord, following Srila Shukadeva Goswami and Srila Prabhupada, that he be pleased to make this presentation meaningful in whatever way he wants to all of you. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, as a fully dependent devotee, Shukadeva Goswami, unlike a mundane man who is proud of his own capability, invokes the pleasure of the personality of Godhead so that his statements may be successful and be appreciated by the hearers. I don't know whether people at the back can see it, probably not. If you can see, raise your hand on the back. Oh, you can see and read. Okay, fine. I think you people should have a bigger screen. Not light. Light is not required. Yeah. You can switch off the lights, please, so that it can be seen better. If you ask generally devotees, what is our philosophy, isn't it? What would you say is our philosophy?
To submit everything to Krishna. Like, submit your full concentration in life.
Then, any other things?
To move away from this material world and like work on your spirituality to increase your karma.
Yeah, but what are some more basic points also we will tell? Anybody? Huh? We are born, not body, spirit, soul. Yes, Jira, Swarupa. So we'll think that these are our philosophy. If you ask people, they'll say that. So I put some of them down. I'm not the body. Somebody was saying, I'm spirit, soul. God has form. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pure devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna is the goal of life. But these are not actually, will be considered our philosophy. Scholars will say that this is our theology. They'll say, this is all elements of your theology. What is your philosophy? They will ask. Some time ago, I was giving a class, quite some time ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago in Bangalore temple, and quite some time ago. And I made this point, and then one devotee was sitting in the front. He said, you are very correct, because right next to our temple there is a Christian seminary. And this seminary, one Western priest had come. I went to meet him. He was like a scholarly priest. Then when he asked us what is our philosophy, and when I said these things, he said, no, these are your theology, what is your philosophy? Are you following? So, we must be able to answer this question, because the term philosophy has a specific meaning in modern academic discourse. You know, people take a degree in philosophy in the West, not in India. India means this is a philosophy degree and it has no meaning. They'll put Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, Vivekananda, like that. They're not considered philosophers in the West. Of course, we may ask, oh, who cares for the West? You know, that's okay. That we can say, but everybody, you know, the world is run today by Western modes of thought. It's simply a fact. And we will see Prabhupada also emphasizing that. So, the term philosophy, not only in the modern academic time, even in the olden times, the word philosophy had, a particular meaning, darshana. Saddarshanas, they had a particular meaning. Of course, much more sophisticated. But to understand that, we must at least know philosophy in modern terms. If we don't even know that, and if we only prepare to give theology, that's not so good. And I wrote down some definition for modern Western philosophy, on which I have some kind of a standing in the Western world, if you may not know. If you go to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, which is gold standard, you will find my work mentioned. So, putting my definitions mean this is pakka. So, philosophy refers to an effort to empirically define certain set of terms. And these terms, some example terms are causality, reality, knowledge, objects, concepts. You have to talk about that. If you say, I'm not the body, I'm spirit, soul, so why theology? Are you following? We must be able to, no, you're not following? You understand that I'm trying to bring out the difference. So, this word causality I have put in a different thing, because this light can be switched off. All the lights, in fact, you can, except the altar. Thank you. So, yes, so you can switch off all these lights. It went off. Just now it went off. It came back on. Causality, reality and all that. And they also try to define these terms and then discuss problems arising out of such definitions. And they try to clarify antecedent assumptions. You see? If we say Krishna is God, there is an antecedent assumption that there is a God. We may not know it, so philosophers always clarify antecedent assumptions. And these turn out to be pretty useful for science too, so philosophy is important for science. And you can, so on these questions we must have our answers. So in the Bhagavatam you will find theology, philosophy and also science in the modern terms. That's my point. If you didn't know that, and if you only knew what we will see is folk theology, it's not even academic theology. It's folk theology or common sense theology. We'll see why. And then that is, we will not be able to be relevant in a contemporary way. And what is science? The term science also has a specific academic meaning. It is also an entirely empirical exercise, and they try to discover order amidst our experience using the language of mathematics. If you drop an apple, it falls down. And it is a scientist who tries to find regularities. He finds that if you drop it from the same height, the same object, it will always fall at the same time to the ground. And even if the object is different, it still falls at the same time, more or less approximately, if you neglect air friction. Therefore, he says, why is it having this regularity? There must be a relation between height and the time it takes to come down. That must be fixed, there must be a formula. And then they find it. Height h equal to ut plus half at squared, you would have read it in schools. S equal to ut plus half at squared. It's a regularity. Sometimes the regularity is to be discovered, it's not obvious. In fact, people didn't know that, objects dropped from the same height always fall at the same time. So it required a scientist. That scientist discovers order. And this order he expresses using the language of mathematics. F equal to ma, s equal to ut plus half at squared, like that. So, then he puts this order to use in the form of technologies. This order is not a simple thing. It is the creation of the scientist, the mathematical formula that he imposes on the order. It is something called underdetermination of data, underdetermination of theory by data. For the same data, you can have different equations. It's possible, in principle. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all of that. So the point is, they put this order to practical use. They make technologies and we use them. The order may or may not be the way nature works. For example, suppose you're a scientist and you believe there is no post office, there is no postmaster and all that. There is a natural law according to which letter moves. So you can find it. That's the point. You can actually do experiment, you can actually take a large number of envelopes, millions of them, and you can actually you can use the same denomination stamp, maybe say 1 rupee. I don't know how much stamps cost these days. 1 rupee stamps only. And you put 1 rupee stamps only so that you can convert the amount of stamp you put to weight, because it is number of stamps multiplied by the weight of 1 rupee stamp. And you find that whenever you put stamp, things move, and if you don't put, it doesn't move. So we will see that there is a causal relation there. And you can do some experiments. You can put 10 rupee stamp, it goes to Delhi or Bangalore. But if you don't put, if you put 10 rupees, it doesn't go to Middle East. And if you put 30 rupees, it goes to Middle East. You send a letter, ask the person, you're doing experiment. They say they got in. But with 30 rupees, it doesn't go to America. When you put 100 rupee stamp, it goes to… So finally you find the correlation between the weight of the stamp and the distance the letter moves. And now you can write a formula for this. And the post letter will always move according to this. And now he can say, oh, I don't believe there is any postmaster or post office. There's a causal law according to which when you put it in the box, of course we still don't know how the post box works, but when you put it, it moves it. And a very simple example of how science can discover empirical order. And if actually it is not merely fitting the data to some idea, that's very important, you can then use this formula to actually make machines. Science also makes novel predictions, that's another criterion. In other words, it makes predictions other than the data for which it was designed to fit. That's called novel predictions. Popper said that Besides falsifiability, the theory should have novel predictions. So it is there in the history of science. For example, in quantum mechanics, Planck developed the idea of quantum postulate to explain what's called black body radiation. But later it was used to explain photoelectric effect. It was later explained to use atomic spectra. And it went on like that. Therefore, it is used to explain data for which it was not designed. So you can't say that they are simply curve fitting. They are fitting some theory to the data. So for all these reasons, science has tremendous persuasive power. And so if you want to say Krishna consciousness is a science, then what do you have to do according to this? Huh? Find some order, formulate it in mathematics and produce technology. There is no use in simply saying, oh, science is nonsense, this and that. Thinking that Prabhupada criticized science. Prabhupada, it is far better for us to think that Prabhupada criticized us and not the scientists. It's more humble. Otherwise we have, are you following? I give the example, like you saw, you are going on the street, there was a big bungalow and one very, guy in poor dress and torn dress and all that, he came out. And you saw him and you said, how come you are coming out of this house? He says, no, I was walking and my shoe just came out of my feet and went inside, so I went to pick it up and came. And he was not even wearing a shoe. What happened? You're not even wearing a shoe. No, I went inside, I couldn't find it. So then I'm coming. And he believed it and he went on. After some time, a policeman comes behind you and says, did you see that guy who was, in tatters? And yeah, I saw him. He was coming out of that house. So, he's a thief. He's a thief? Really? Yeah. He was trying to steal from... No, he said that he was just going there. And you believed it? Yeah, and what kind of a fool are you? So who is he criticizing? Is he criticizing the thief or you? So Prabhupada said that the scientists' arguments are so, of course, it is based on science. And if you want to really defeat them, you have to do science like this based on Bhagavatam, not simply criticize. But, those arguments, when it comes to actually explaining why they are doing science, the real reason they do science is for this, to imagine an order, or to observe some order that is there, and to imagine a law and use that law to make technology. That's all is science. And it's very powerful. It's not such a simple thing. I am myself still thinking about these things after 40 years. You see what I mean? That our mind is running all the time. And whatever I'm saying, you're processing. We will see that later. The green glass, for example, I gave last time, I'll repeat it. I'm sorry, but you have to be very careful. This is not something you can understand, you have to simply hear. One day you will understand. That's why I'm telling that I can't even explain these things. I said, if Krishna wants, it can be explained. In spiritual life, the first thing you have to be told is what? That you're a number one fool. The real teaching cannot begin, and outside we don't tell, we're very polite to people, but once you come inside, the first thing that has to be drummed into you is that we are number one fool. Krishna told Arjuna, prajna vajam sabhasase. Without that, Prabhupada says in Perfection of Yoga that the sadhu who speaks good words is any enemy. Because he says it has to be, the attachment to the mind has to be cut, and to cut anything you need something sharp. And the sadhu's words are sharp words, have to be used. So please imagine, listen very carefully. And now I even forgot when what I said, when you kept on saying, yeah. What did I say?
Technology. Science is used to make technology.
Yes. So, when we sit in Bhagavatam class, there's another disease we have. Nobody can tell me anything that I don't know. He may say a new story I did not know, okay, maybe fine, then I'll use it also. Basic philosophy I know. But you don't know philosophy. You know something called theology, which is a very horribly twisted thing out of shape, you'll see that. So we have to be very careful. So that fellow came, the thief said like that, and I believed it. So he said, you're a fool. His argument was so bad. So I said, okay, I accept I was a fool for believing him, but he must also be a fool for saying it, no? Yeah, if he believed what he said. But the thief never believes what he says. Does he believe? He knows he's a thief. So scientists never believe in the explanations they give for origin of the world or life. You should know that. Because all their theories are provisional. So essentially Prabhupada is telling that you are a fool for listening to that. Not the for scientists, you will see how much he is praising them. I'm going to show quotes. Prabhupada said they factually they are realizing Lord Krishna. It's there, quotes. It's not that Prabhupada was putting down scientists at all. So of course from his viewpoint, of course scientists are also fools, but that's not our viewpoint. We actually believe, before Prabhupada came, we believed all these things. And Prabhupada gave such simple arguments to say they are wrong, we couldn't think of it. Prabhupada was once in Europe and then once in Sweden, and one professor came. He was saying that, why do you say that evolution is wrong, from, atoms and molecules, then chemicals came the first life, maybe an amoeba, a single cell, then it grew into life, what's wrong about it? Prabhupada said, if you have a lot of money and you start a company, who will you appoint first, the peon or the managing director? So he said, the managing director. So if Krishna is creating the world, who will create first, amoeba or Brahma? Prabhupada said. Now, this is not a criticism of the scientist. This is a criticism of us, that we were such fools that we believed in it. We read in schools and colleges, we never questioned it. Are you following? Is it reasonable or not? So better we take that Prabhupada is saying we are fools, and that makes sense because it's a duty, first and foremost duty of the spiritual master, to point out that we are fools. That's why I'm saying that. So let us come to something. How in Bhagavatam there is theology, philosophy and science. And we may not even know that we don't know all these three things. Neither theology, nor science, nor philosophy. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Right? Sarva karana karanam. What does it mean? Can somebody explain? No, cause. What do you mean by Krishna is the cause? He is the reason behind it. Very good. You see? What do we mean by the term cause? We usually carry a folk notion of cause. Folk notion means uninformed. Folk notion of disease we may have, medicine. Popular, common sense notion. Reason why something happens. That's what you are saying, right? A is a cause of B, that's the reason it happened. But you have replaced one word by another word. What do you mean by cause? I mean reason. What do you mean by reason? It causes. It makes sense to us in common sense. What is that? This is moving. Why is it moving? I pushed it. So my pushing is the cause. It's the reason. Yeah, but what do you mean by cause? Why didn't you say that, this event followed that event. Why are you saying it caused this event? You see? So a more precise definition would be that if A, then B, if not A, then not B. If an event A is the cause of B, if and only if, whenever A happens, B happens, and when A doesn't happen, B doesn't happen. It's a little bit more precise. But still that doesn't, besides saying that whenever A happens, B happens, and A does not happen, B does not happen, you don't mean anything by saying cause. In other words, there was one person called David Hume who argued that this definition implies necessity, that it will always be like this. And he argued, it's a long argument, I won't go into that. Then Hume challenged this, David Hume. What he was arguing is that if I say that I drop this and it makes a sound, so why did you get the sound? Because it hit the ground. Now, he said that ceteris paribus, it means everything remaining the same, you have no idea this will always happen. Suppose a billiard ball comes and hits another ball and it moves. You say this caused this to move. This is the job of philosophy. First of all, you cannot justifiably say that an object touched another object. It is not possible for one object to touch another object. Do you know why? Why?
Because like the atoms are there, at the end of the atom there are electrons, and electrons will never touch electrons, they'll always repel. So if you see the last layer, there will be repulsion between the electron and electron.
No, that's the modern scientific explanation, but logical explanation is that every object occupies space uniquely. There cannot be two objects at the same place, correct? For two objects to touch, some parts of them must occupy the same space. That's not possible. That's a simple logical argument. That explanation you gave is based on science, and that may change. For example, in science, you can say there are no electrons now. Therefore, that explanation based on electron repulsion would be incorrect. That may have been right maybe some time ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. This thing that you learn in school that there is a nucleus and there is an electron going round and round is all wrong. Electron has a negative charge. That's from particle physics, but from quantum mechanics, the electron is a wave function and no one knows what it is. And then it connects to that particle physics idea statistically, and those are all complicated issues. Let's not worry about it. So, Hume actually challenged this idea by saying that something called induction is involved. Induction is generalization over data. So he said that every time it hits, actually it moves, but you never know whether it may stop or it may make the other thing move. There is a field in physics called thermodynamics in which there is something called the problem of arrow of time, which says that every time you put cold milk on the stove, it is not necessary that the milk should get hot. Sometimes the milk can get colder and the stove can get hotter. It's possible, according to science. This probability is so low that it may not happen, that's a different matter, but in principle it can happen. So that's known as the problem of the arrow of time. But we strongly believe that can never happen. Why? That's another question. So many issues are there. So Hume said that the notion of cause is generalized through induction. You see, many times things are happening and then you say it'll always happen like that. So a cause is a generalization of your observations with an implication of necessity. It will always happen like that. And he said that you cannot prove, and his argument is right. And for that reason, the problem of induction is there and people are still talking about it. Now you might say, why should we waste our time on all of this? Have you seen Prabhupada discuss such things? No, right? Prabhupada makes simple philosophy. I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. chant Hare Krishna, take Krishna Prasadam, distribute food to everybody, distribute books. He has said these things, right? Why should, maybe, no. Srila Prabhupada on induction. You go to Veda base and you write induction, you'll find many, many times Prabhupada writes. Here is one from Rajavidya. There are two processes for attaining knowledge. One is inductive and the other is deductive. The deductive method is considered to be more perfect. We may make a premise such as all men are mortal. We may study this man died and that man died, like every time this hit it goes. And after seeing that so many men have died, we may generalize that all men are mortal. That's induction. The major defect of this inductive method is that in our experience is limited. How do you know all men are mortal? Maybe someone will be immortal and we have not seen. So you cannot prove. Therefore, Hume argued that science is not based on causality. That's a very deep issue, we won't go into that. We may have never seen a person who is not mortal, but we are judging this on our personal experience, which is limited, finite. Prabhupada writes in Rajavidya. This is our philosophy. Yeah, are you following this? So Prabhupada has written philosophy, and you cannot know the philosophy in Bhagavatam unless you know what is philosophy in the outside world. And so you read only the Bhagavatam, these things you may just think like, oh, he's showing how they are fools. No, there are deep issues here. Now Prabhupada concludes in the same thing, our senses have limited power and there are so many defects in our conditional state. The inductive process consequently is not always perfect, whereas the deductive process from a source of perfect knowledge is perfect. The Vedic process is such a process. So he says you may not generalize over observations and get dependable knowledge. But if you get knowledge from a perfect source, then it's perfect. Now the academicians would regard this alternative of Vedic process of knowledge as a theological response, not a philosophical response or a scientific response. Are you following this? If you say, oh, this is inductive process, there's a problem of induction, they'll say, yes, we know. So therefore, we have this other process of descending knowledge from perfect source. That's not an empirical process. I'll have to explain more about it, but they'll say this is not. Now you might say, but if Prabhupada has given us the Vedic process as an alternative, why should we worry if it's regarded as theology? We can say that. But Prabhupada again contradicts you on that. In other words, we really don't know what Prabhupada has written, but we just claim big, big things. Why is the induction? Why giving Sunday class is a waste of time? So instead of talking about Krishna, why are you talking about induction? No. It is also in Prabhupada's books. Religion will not be accepted in modern civilization if it is not accepted from a scientific viewpoint. Very first book that Prabhupada wrote, Easy Journey to Other Planets. So should we learn first theology or science? Apart from Puranas and Vedic literatures, Prabhupada is writing. Scientifically, it is a modern science. According to their way, we can convince. Puranas, you may not believe, but if you say you believe, I may not believe. Prabhupada says, I don't believe. But scientific truth has to be accepted. Therefore, there is a Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada said, is not a theology, it is not a philosophy, it's a science. It is from science that you have to derive philosophy, and from philosophy you have to derive theology. This is the process. But if you simply read and understand because of your past punya, all of us have past punya. Therefore, for us, certain things we don't waste time. We accept because you have experienced. Long time ago, time kya hai? 1:40. Long time ago, I gave a talk at IIT, maybe 30 years ago, not now. Maybe before most of you were born. So, I gave a talk, Neil Armstrong is not the first man to go to moon. That was the topic I gave in IIT Bombay. Then, 200-300 students came, because they're IIT boys. But they're not like now, things are changing now. But much more, you can't, make such presentations. Now you'll have to be integral part of the academic process. So, when I asked them all, how many people don't believe this? That Neil Armstrong was not the first man to go to the moon. Nobody raised their hand. I said, but at the end of this class, all of you will raise saying that you believe this. Then I spoke about, in various ways, and I brought in, the final idea, which I tried to argue through science, whatever it is in those days. And I said that, this idea of soul taking birth and higher planets and all those things, and therefore, when you can go to higher planets when you do punya. And then when you come back, you remember that. Whether you may not remember explicitly or not, it goes as part of faith inside due to past experience. And therefore, you see, that is there. Just like, have you seen a rocket? But do you believe it exists? He has not seen a rocket, but he's probably educated. You're an engineer or something like that, right? You have some engineering degree. What degree? B.Tech, M.Tech, B.Tech. Huh? B.E. something. He's got a bachelor's degree in engineering, and he understands how cycle works, mechanical energy, mechanical advantage. You put the pedal and it goes. And then he understands how motors work, electrical motors. Then he understands how, aerodynamics works. And he knows a little bit how planes fly. He can at least understand when explanation is given. And he can extend and say, therefore, rockets must be there. You have seen cars, you have seen planes, you have seen other things. So I extrapolate and say there must be. Like that, but now if you ask a rickshawala in the street, they are no longer there, but if there was a rickshawala, then he may also say, I have not seen a rocket, but his not seeing and him not seeing are not on the same level. Similarly, someone might say, I have not seen God, a devotee, and someone in the road may say, I have not seen God. It's not on the same level, because they've got so many other experiences of going to other planets and coming back. They believe that. So the gap is less. So I was basically talking to them about how this, so if you accept this wave point, then it is not, almost all of you would have born in India, means you have done punya, must have gone to heavenly planets and come back. So all of you, so at the end I asked them, how many of you believe now that Armstrong is not the first man to go to moon? Then almost all of them raised their hands. Okay, nothing great was achieved, but something was discussed. So, in any case, I don't know why I said that, but that's a commercial break. Coming back to the main thing, scientifically it's a modern science, so Prabhupada says. Again in easy general, at a time when material science predominates all subjects, including the tenets of religion, that means including theology, it would be enlivening to see the principles of eternal religion of man from the viewpoint of modern scientists. This is actually a statement of Radha Krishna that Prabhupada quotes and accepts in Easy Journey to Other Planets. Room conversation in Mexico City in 1972. Now you're a scientist. If you're actually a devotee, then you try to explain. Because you're a scientist, your explanation from the scientific viewpoint, how God has entered, how He is acting, that will be very well received by the public. So that will be of great service. That is your duty. So Prabhupada is saying, if you know science and you cannot prove this, then you are not a devotee. Not that you say, no, I'm a devotee and I don't care for science. No, it must be there. Somebody might say, shouldn't we learn about Krishna instead of about matter that science studies? Because if we say science, it's all about matter. Prabhupada said, the pure devotees of the Lord, this is in Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses about material creation and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. He continues to write in the purport that there were only 7 days. And Parikshit Maharaj is asking in that sloka, please explain to me how the Lord made this phenomenal creation. Prabhupada writes in the purport that there were only 7 days, and Parikshit did not say, there is no time, you please directly go to rasa dance. Nor did Sukadeva Goswami chastise him saying, There's only 7 days left, and why do you want to know about the creation? What kind of attachment do you have? You're supposed to leave all this and go to Golok? No. Because if you are discussing properly, there is no difference between discussions about matter and material creation. In fact, later we will see Prabhupada says you should learn this first about matter. Exactly like there is no difference whether a khichdi is offered to Krishna or chapan bhog. It's most Mahaprasad. But if you don't have good digestion, khichdi is better than Mahaprasad, chapan bhog. So if we don't know anything, it is better we learn about matter first than directly enter. So then you can say, then why did Prabhupada actually emphasize so much about we are not the bodies, spirit, right? Why didn't he talk about matter? It's a very interesting conversation. Ravitinandan Swami was a Swami. There is some distinction between the nature of the soul and the nature of the body, Prabhupada. That distinction is inconceivable. You cannot make clear distinction, therefore it's called achintya. Not clear distinction between body and soul you cannot make. Ravitinandan, that distinction between the soul and the body? I mean, suddenly, how can you say this? You're teaching us this? Prabhupada says, yes, you cannot make a clear distinction. Therefore, it is called achintya beda beda, inconceivable one and different simultaneously. We are not Dvaita, matter is different, soul is different. We are not Advaita, there's only soul. We are not materialists, there's only matter. But matter and spirit are there, but they are one and different simultaneously. Sometimes people ask, Prabhupada, these questions are not to be discussed in public. These are very higher understanding. For public should be, this is matter, this is spirit. That's all. That means we are general public to whom Prabhupada taught, this is matter, this is spirit. Always apply it to yourself, not to others. When Prabhupada says everything, it is to others, not to me. Isn't it? We always think Prabhupada is criticizing the world. Well, why would he do that? He's a pure devotee. But then why should he criticize me? Because we are his followers. We are his disciples. It's his duty, it's his kindness to point out we are fools. This is 1971. Of course, these are all deep topics. Now you can ask me then, why are you talking about this? Well, you see, you should not be public. Once you come inside, and once you are practicing and you continue, then that's not so good. So again, Bhagavatam contains theology, philosophy and science, and you cannot know unless you first know science. And then you can know philosophy, and then you can know. Even philosophers have accepted. There is something called context of justification and context of what is that? Context of justification and context of theory creation. And they say that philosophy must function only in the context of justification. So someone like Quine said that philosophy of science is philosophy enough. He said, you just follow science and do philosophy, that's enough philosophy. Don't simply yak independent of science things. They have come to that conclusion on sober grounds. And Krishna consciousness is a science, it's later philosophy and later theology. Now you can say, but Prabhupada said, just chant, no, everything will be okay. We are just stuck on this. In other words, we have reduced everything to the lowest parameter. Suppose you say, no, I simply accept that can't understand all this, I'll just chant. Prabhupada has told me. Okay. Then why do you present yourself as authority? When you speak, we are the greatest. Isn't it? At least we should say, Prabhu, there are 70 books, there's so many things there. I don't know anything, I have simply accepted that I'll chant, that's what I'm going to do. Right? At least that much we should say. No. I'm great, I'm this, I'm that, I'm sannyasi, I'm guru. Krishna says that out of many millions of people, one may understand him. But by chanting of this Hare Krishna as introduced by Lord Chaitanya, chanting and dancing, you can understand Krishna within a very short time. For the first time he put some useful quote. This is real Krishna consciousness. Why didn't he put this first? Yeah, but the problem is in the next sentence Prabhupada says, knowledge begins not from Krishna. In other words, if you chant, you can come to know Krishna, but don't think that the first stop is Krishna. Not that you chant and you will immediately know Krishna. No. What will you know? But from things which we are accustomed to see every day. Knowledge begins by understanding objects. This is the science part of Krishna consciousness. Such things are there. So we have what is called folk theology. What is folk theology? Which doesn't know the Bhagavad science, doesn't know Bhagavad philosophy, but you just read through common sense and you understand something, you have got past punya, shraddha, adav shraddha, and then you can get some understanding. This folk theology is sufficient to those who have faith, but academic theology is needed to reach out to wider audience. If you want to present theology also, you should present academic theology. For modern presentations, philosophy and science, in fact science and philosophy in the Bhagavatam come first. Theology comes later. We saw that. Prabhupada said apart from Vedas and Puranas, according to science. This is if we want to. So Prabhupada wrote in 76. As soon as we say from Shastra, they will say it is all mythology. Then how will you meet? Modern times is happening, right? It's very difficult to, and it's going to get worse. Kali Yuga is going to progress. Therefore, Prabhupada set up this scientific presentation. All I'm trying to tell you is scientific presentation is not what you think it is. That's what I'm trying to say. We'll see this in a moment. Without proper grounding in philosophy and science, folk theology can be even incorrect. We will see that now. Right? What is our philosophy and science regarding causality? Now, causality, you said, cause means the reason. But you see, Krishna is the cause of... Now, this sentence, Krishna is the cause of all causes, can be seen theologically. Then the focus is on Krishna. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Yeah, that's theology. It's correct. But there is, philosophy, the focus is cause. And their ideas are, there are many types of definitions for cause. There is a proximate cause. You see? Suppose you went out and you got wet. Somebody said, why did you get wet? Oh, it was raining. Yeah, but he also went with you, he didn't get wet. Oh, he was wearing raincoat. Oh, that is the cause. So you got wet not because of the rain, but because you didn't have raincoat. So there is a proximate cause, there is a distant cause, and the ultimate cause, like that. So philosophers want to discuss proximate cause. That is one thing. There can be cause without necessity also. Why did you go to the airport? Oh, my father was coming. So the father coming was the cause for going to the airport, but you could have decided also not to go. Maybe you are angry with him, I won't go. So it is not necessary that the cause must always produce the effect. This is, philosophers have discussed that. There are many, 30, 40 definitions of cause, philosophers have. There's another one. Cause can be not even occurring, but it can produce an effect. Isn't it? The child is asking the mother, can I go to play? Mother says, if it doesn't rain, today evening can I go to play when I come back from school? If it doesn't rain, you can play. In the evening there was no rain, the child went to play. So no rain is not a physical event, but it is a cause of a physical event. She went to play. Do you follow? This actually happens in quantum mechanics. And there is also this idea of possible worlds by Lewis and all that. It's a vast field. I'm just putting everything in summary form. So how are you going to understand philosophically which idea of cause is this cause? Because a philosopher would say, when you say Krishna is the cause of all causes, what do you mean by cause? You can't say reason, that is folk philosophy or folk theology. I don't know all these things. Then you do not know philosophically how Krishna is the cause of all causes. You understand? It turns out there is another idea of causality which says that is called intra-level is causality and inter-level is complementarity. Okay, that is my idea. And in all these fields I have developed the Bhagavatam ideas of science and physics, by the way, which is accepted in the Western universities and taught there. It's not that I'm just saying, but, so there is another notion of cost that is the actual meaning of the word cost. We don't know that. You may say, we don't need these things, but these are all have been discussed by Prabhupada. In modern science, the cause is still the focus, but you'll have to mathematically formulate a notion of cause. Yeah, and that also can be done from Bhagavatam. And that also we have done at our institute. We'll have to revise the notion of complex numbers. But you may not even know what is complex numbers. How are you going to know what is the scientific meaning of Krishna is the cause of all causes? So, without knowing science, without knowing philosophy, without knowing theology, by knowing folk theology, we do folk philosophy and folk science. And give all kinds of arguments. So, what is our preaching going to be based on? So, this is what I said is green glass preaching. See? Suppose you wear a green glass, the world looks green. I gave this example last time, but I can repeat it. I myself think about it all the time. I myself one green glass guy. So, my position itself is bad. So please do not think that this is to glorify Bhagavatam and Krishna. And Prabhupada writes in the second canto, first chapter, 8th verse, Prabhupada says, Srimad Bhagavatam, or for that matter, any other scientific literature. Wow. How could only Prabhupada can write that. Srimad Bhagavatam, or for that matter, any other scientific literature. Isn't that an amazing sentence? He's saying Bhagavatam is the real scientific book, or other things, medicine, engineering, other mathematics. That's Prabhupada saying, and you can't just claim that Bhagavatam is scientific literature, being ignorant. We are completely soaked in the extraordinary overconfidence. So we know the truth. Not only we know the truth, we know absolute truth. We know so little that we don't even know that we don't know. Our ignorance is only exceeded by our ignorance that we are ignorant. But aren't we all thinking that we know everything? Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be read and understood. The science and philosophy in the Bhagavatam cannot be found by speculation. It has to be revealed. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. You can go through your entire life without learning what is Bhagavatam. In the olden days, there is another quote of Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, 5,000 years ago, that's all right. Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said. It's not good enough for modern days. Prabhupada can say that. This Kali Yuga is very important. This Kali Yuga is very important, very unique. You know the reasons, all of you. Why is it unique? This Kali Yuga? Among all Kali Yugas, this is unique. Why? What is that? See, we know that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We may not know the meaning of that, but we believe. This is faith. And the faith comes from past punya. This is very good. But 99.9999% of the world population is not having faith. And in fact, they are worse and worse and worse. They are going to get worse. Are you following this? I was explaining that a lot of times faith comes from, 2 o'clock. 2:15? A lot of times, you see, faith comes from Ajnana Sukriti. Ajnana Sukriti means, Sukriti we get we do something else, but Krishna takes it as devotional service. Like in Padma Purana, there is this rat who was on the altar and his tail got fire and he was jumping up and down and Krishna said, oh, he's doing arti, and he sent him back to Vaikuntha. Straight. Ajnana Sukriti. Of course, he must have been considerable devotional merit, whatever it is. Similarly, some guy could be in one town looking for a bar and he's going round and round in the taxi, but in the center is a Krishna temple. Krishna says, oh, he's doing pradakshina. Circumambulation, give him some credit. So Krishna is always giving credit, but Kali Yuga is such that it is very difficult for Krishna to give even Agyata Sukriti. They have nothing. It's going to get very terribly worse. And you can say, I don't know, I don't care, all of that, but I have come just so that I can save myself. That's okay. Then make it clear. Don't say we are preaching movement. We are delivering people. Prabhupada said we are not parcel service. We give a book to people and if they ask what is in the book, I don't know. Or we say what, you deliver a parcel, you ask a postman, what is in the parcel? You'll say, it's for you, you open and see, why you ask me? We can't say that. We should know. But what we know cannot be just whatever we have concocted, green glass. The green glass is that somebody was completely blind and someone gave him a green glass by which he can suddenly see. He cannot still actually see things as they are, because everything is green, but at least he can get around. So we were spiritually blind. Prabhupada gave a powerful book, which when it is going through our mind becomes green glass. Just like you have milk, you put it in a bartan, but on the top of the bartan there's a ganda kapada. Then you get ganda milk. Thus the ganda kapada is our mind and intelligence. Useless. That's all we use to study Bhagavatam, to chant Hare Krishna. That's okay to start, but you have to go past it. That is why Bhagavatam is written, 7 beautiful Bhagavatam. That's why it's called Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad means beautiful. The book is beautiful. Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm not even getting into all of that. This is just... So, when we didn't know anything, then we got this green glass. It was good enough to say, oh, this material world is illusion. Oh, this material life is Maya. Oh, I must become a devotee. I must chant. Very good. But you still don't know things as they are. Green glass. So then you say, how many years you have been in green glass? 5 years. I'm 10 years. I'm more senior to you. No, he's 20. So somebody told Rasaraj is senior devotee. Somebody asked him why. Oh, he has been seeing green glass 40 years. Oh, it's very senior then. What is the use of that? You see, this is green glass preaching are we going to do? At least Karmi philosophers and scientists, they are based on empiricism, actual observations. Prabhupada writes, oh, they are speculators. No, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually realized in the vision of a material philosopher and scientist through the manifestations of his material energy. Through that they are studying. He didn't say they are fools, did he say? Saying they're factually realizing God. So that fool is for us, not for the scientists. Why you believed him? Oh, but he also believes. No, he doesn't believe. Their theories are all provisional. Tomorrow another theory will come, they'll simply dump Big Bang or Darwin immediately. But it has to be atheistic, that is important. That's what they are looking for. Okay. Our scientific preaching, a term that Prabhupada never used. Prabhupada always said scientific presentations of Krishna consciousness. Never scientific preaching. Those two words don't go well. Scientific preaching is based on folk theology and at best folk philosophy and folk science. People say, if you see a garden, then you know there's a gardener. If you see a watch, there must be a watchmaker. They're all wrong arguments. Prabhupada never gave them. It looks like he gave, but his arguments are very sophisticated. We don't know. And we argue, there's just like there's a watch, there's a watchmaker, like that there's an ordered creation, there must be a creator. No. They'll never, it's incorrect. It's philosophically incorrect, scientifically incorrect, theologically incorrect. Because a watch is a machine. Okay, a machine is made by the watchmaker, but he's also a machine. A machine can always make a machine. We make machines, numerically controlled lathes, automatic machines that make other machines. What's the problem, they'll say? You follow? So how are you going to, just because there is a watchmaker doesn't prove you have to go outside matter. No, the watchmaker is living. Oh, okay, then your argument is something else. What is life? Then it will go on like that. But if you think that the argument there is a watch is made by a watchmaker, therefore like the world must be made by a world maker. No. That world maker, if it is there, that will also be inside this world. For example, they accept that, life must have been seeded from other planets. Panspermia, that is the idea. But that's also inside this world. We'll have to see. Okay. So, what is called scientific preaching in so many Bhaktivedanta institutes around the world is going on, unfortunately. And also there are institutes for science and spirituality all over the world in ISKCON. This is all folk theology. It's not right. But at least our Bhaktivedanta Institute we have, here is the website, is based on academic theology. But that academic theology is based on our actual scientific and philosophical work. And for that we have this other institute, Institute of Semantic Information Sciences and Technology, INSIST. This is actually based on the philosophy and science of Bhagavatam. It is affiliated to University of Mumbai. It is not another green glass presentation. No, it's not created by me. Science and philosophy in strict scholarly terms cannot be presented. So Prabhupada writes, religion, we saw that. Religion will not be accepted in modern civilization if it is not accepted from a scientific. So this is actually systematically it should be presented. I'm not even now talking about science and philosophy of Bhagavatam. I can give a lecture on that. But in fact, I'm going to show some examples now. So you may say, oh, okay, you are doing some science, maybe it's your service. Why do you come and bother us? I think most of you are thinking like that. No? So you may say, we know enough to preach, we go outside, people are believing. One fool making another fool. He will also never go past you. He will present the same green glass things, that's all. That is why Prabhupada wrote in Iswapanishad. Prabhupada has written this, that if you take shelter of a neophyte devotee, you cannot go past that neophyte devotee. It's written. Of course, Prabhupada says that with respect to gurus, but it's also good respect for preachers. If you heard from a green glass preacher, that's where you will stay in green glass. How you are going to remove the green glass? Somebody has to come and remove it. It's very powerful. Anyway, therefore Prabhupada said, the institute will be primarily for those who have not entered our temples. That's 99.9% of the world. So the reach of this preaching is far greater than Krishna consciousness. The subject matter will not be different from what is taught in our temples, but the institute will be official for the general mass. It will be formal education, they will get degree. It will be open for everyone, including those who have already entered our temples. So you cannot say this is for others, not for me. Prabhupada said it's for both. So I give an example. So I'm doing work in science. It is very complicated and I've been doing it for 40 years and going on. I'm not rushing to write some books or, This is done for Krishna. It's an offering of love. For whatever I do, I've written, of course, more than 50 academic papers, which if you read, you cannot understand at all, because it's science from Bhagavatam. Many devotees say, we read your papers and books, I don't find anything connection to it. Of course you don't. That's a proof that it is good knowledge. Anyway. So, but I write this all for only two persons, Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, that's all. Who else will read, who else will not read, is not by bother. But you will see, we will see now. Westerners have read it, scientists and scholars, they are taking it up, that's a different matter. So this science can also help us to preach. Just 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I was in a Ayurvedic hospital in Cochin, and then near Cochin, and then on the last day I was taking a car 5 o'clock, I was coming by. I asked the taxi driver, 5 o'clock, do you have any questions? He said, yes. I said, yeah? What is it? So, why do you people worship only Krishna? Good question, taxi driver in Cochin. I said, so who do you worship? He said, I worship Ayappa, I also worship Shiva. Now you have to answer him, right? He's not an atheist. So he's asking, why do you worship? What will you say? Why do you worship Krishna? Say something. Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says, Mamekam Saranam. We are not saying. I have also given that argument. Right? Any other argument? Why do you worship Krishna? Huh? Watering the root of the tree. If you remember, in the beginning slide I put that philosophy and science, they try to understand certain terms like causality, objects, reality. So I told him that I'm not saying this is the correct answer, it's the best answer or anything like that. But based on my scientific work, I gave an answer. You people can decide whether it is okay or not. If you don't like it, you can reject it. But I told him that we worship Krishna because only Krishna exists. Nobody else exists. How can you worship anybody else? In other words, sometimes people say God is everything in existence, sum total of all that is in existence. No, that's not God. God is different from all that is in existence. In fact, everything else exists only because of connection to Him. Otherwise, they don't exist. Just like there is an object here. What is it? Cell phone. But it is a cell phone only if I use it as a cell phone. If I am not using it as a cell phone, it has no capacity to act as a cell phone. Can it? A watch is not a watch unless you... So unless Krishna uses anything, nothing is real. Nothing can act as if it even exists. So he told Brahma in the Chatusloki that know it for certain that anything that's not connected to me is illusion. It doesn't exist. So if you say there is a chair, it's an illusion. But if you actually, on the chair make a person sit and then speak Bhagavatam, then it is real. This is, the idea of using everything, dovetailing everything in Krishna's service. But this is not just an idea, this is actually scientifically real. That we won't come into this thing. But so I told him that only Krishna exists. That idea I have come through science. Science is coming to the point of saying that reality and what you observe to exist, they're not connected. Anyway, it's a long story, I don't want to get into that. Nor do I want to say things that somebody gets a license to speculate. But the point is that from science I said this, that Krishna is the only person who exists. To the extent everything is connected to Krishna, other things exist. Therefore, you can only first worship Krishna. And only to the extent they are connected, you can worship Shiva, Ayyappa, or anybody, because they are connected to Krishna. Otherwise, you cannot worship them. We also worship, we also give respect. Why wouldn't we not worship Lord Shiva? Right? Or Indra, or Chandra, but because they are connected to Krishna. I told him, like when we started, where did I say we should go? Airport. But am I going just to the airport? No. Where am I going? He said Terminal 1. But I didn't say that there. First you have to go to the airport, then you can go to Terminal 1. First you have to worship Krishna, then you can actually worship others. We worship the Vaishnavas, Tadiyanam Samarchanam. Therefore, you must know who is Krishna. This point that Krishna is the only one who exists. Ahameva agre, Krishna says in the Bhagavatam. Rigveda says, Narayana eva agre, na Rudra, na Indra, na Charuna, it goes like Prabhupada quotes that. So agre here doesn't mean in the beginning. Agre means in the first. First Krishna exists, then only anybody else can exist. There is no question of this hand existing unless I recognize it. Prabhupada gave the example. If somebody's finger is cut, it is on the ground, it's not a finger. It looks like a finger, but it's not a finger. Unless it's connected to someone and is used by him, it's not a finger. Similarly, we are not soul, Prabhupada said, unless we are connected to Krishna. We are name only soul. We are not soul. almost, like the spark is almost extinguished. Still it is there by Krishna's mercy. It's existing because He is also inside our heart. So we are not fully extinguished. So if you want to understand Krishna, then you can actually meditate how Krishna is independent of everything. That kind of meditation you can get if you understand the science of Krishna consciousness, which is a science about matter and objects. From that you can understand Krishna in that nice way. God or Big Bang, people will say God, devotees. But if you say the world that's created by Big Bang is in fact created by God, that's wrong. If you understand science and philosophy, you will know the world created by Big Bang and the world created by Krishna are two different things. So God or Big Bang will say both. Big Bang for the world that you think you live in, and God for the world that we know we are living in. That's a science. So to argue that no, Big Bang is a foolish thing, it's not like this. No, you have to know. Our Siddhanta first. Siddhanta means science, philosophy, and those who have not learned from an expert spiritual master what is soul and what is matter cannot understand the existence of the soul within the body. Without knowing the matter, it's not possible to know spirit. Therefore Krishna says, Nasate vidyate bhavo na abhavo vidyate sataha ubayorapi drishtanto. Ubayorapi. By studying both, they have come to the conclusion. By studying matter only, you cannot know. That's what current scientists are doing. By studying only spirit, you cannot know properly. And we shouldn't be doing that. But actually, we should study both matter and spirit. First, matter. Those who are in the material world must first of all know how the external energy of the Lord is working under the direction of the Supreme. Before and afterwards, one may try to enter the activities. So this is Krishna consciousness as a science. This is an introduction to that. After this we will do a course, an online course on the science of Krishna. But first you must know that there is a science in it. That my green glass I have to keep. So this green, when devotees join the temple, we should tell them, this green glass preaching you do outside. That's good enough. Here, shut your mouth and listen. And then somebody must be there who has gotten out of the green glass. Otherwise, the same thing will keep on going. Okay, therefore Prabhupada writes in the 3rd canto, this verse is the potential basis of great scientific research work. And scientific knowledge engaged in the service of the Lord and all similar activities are factually Hari Kirtana, or glorification of the Lord. Okay, you can distribute the feedback forms. Where is Rajahamsa? Just pass a bunch and they can pass to everybody. Sometimes you might think, why are you talking so much about matter? Here is a Bhagavatam verse. The principle of matter is the consciousness of the Lord. So what you call as matter is actually the consciousness of the Lord. So we are not going away from the Lord if you study matter. That's why they are able to understand God, the scientists, Prabhupada says. Okay. So this is, sometimes I put, these are what the scientists are saying about our work. I was very interested in the talk by Dr. Ravi Gomatam. That was not a Bhagavatam class, it was about science. Because he showed by some nice arguments that the proper way to think of quantum mechanics is in terms of relationships. This is a new way of thinking, which is perhaps how we can get out of the confusions. It may be that this is how we should be doing science. And this person is a Nobel laureate in quantum physics. He's not just a nobody. And you should know that this problem of quantum mechanics has been around for more than 100 years, and more than 18 million scientists have tried to solve it. 18 million scientists. Nobody has even found what is the actual problem. There are so many guys who say, I've got a solution. There are so many interpretations. But Einstein in 1954 said, now every Tom, Dick and Harry thinks he has understood quantum mechanics, but he's in illusion. All the quantum mechanics Nobel laureates accept that we don't know what it is, till today. And through Bhagavatam, this can be solved. And it looks like we are solving because they are saying this is the way it should be. This is science coming from Bhagavatam. Okay, this is another thing. This is Professor Neil Srikantan, who is former director of TIFR. Dr. Gomatam has proposed a new approach according to which quantum theory uses some term statistics problem. Anyway, he says I have proposed a new approach, and it's based on Bhagavatam. That's an important point. Regarding Bohr, I see you're an acknowledged expert. McKinnon himself is I was telling you in the car, right? Yes. And McKinnon himself is an expert on Bohr. Okay, so people are saying like that. There's a NATO-funded paper. They say we agree with Gomatam that we should revise our notions of matter and energy. This is in Brown University. One of my papers, students have to write a report. Brown is an Ivy League university. And University of Connecticut, one of my papers is there as part of a course on ecology. Like that. Okay. All right, so this is coming to the close, and that's what it is. And, so basically, I want you to know that the Institute of Semantic Information Science and Technology, in summary, in Bhagavatam there is theology, philosophy and science. They can be known only in the sequence that you first know material science, then philosophy, then theology. But we are simply reading, and out of our Shraddha and past punya, we are able to understand something. It's not like we don't understand. It's a fact, internally whatever you have is, it's a good understanding of Krishna. But if you want to present it in a detailed way, you will not find it possible. It is good enough for you and for others who have got Shraddha. Those who would come to the temple, to them we can preach. But if you want to preach to those who will not come to the temple, it is not possible unless you present matters scientifically. That Prabhupada repeatedly said. And to present it scientifically means you have to know. You have to go beyond the green glass. We sing every day, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito, but you got to demonstrate that you have got it. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito means remove the ganda kapada and pour the good milk directly. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito means remove the green glass and put inside. So when the Acharya teaches you in the heart, and he will teach that when under some conditions, that has to be also taught. Then and only then you can understand the science of Krishna consciousness. So we have two institutes. The Institute for Semantic Information Sciences and Technology, that is actually presenting the science and also philosophy. And the Bhaktivedanta Institute is for presenting the theology. Because that is, that's how we have divided the work. Prabhupada said this scientific work of the institute, which is not BI, which is Institute of Semantic Information, Science and Technology, our most important preaching arm, it will enhance the prestige of ISKCON. The first way you can support is to understand our work and then to appreciate it. So that way, I am very thankful that you all at least are sitting down and listening today. And if you understand it, that itself is a great support, because when devotees understand, and when you say this is good, that is a blessing. And when I get devotees' blessings, then Krishna will be more pleased. Even though it is his service, it has to go through devotees. So that way, I am very happy that you are even understanding it. That is itself is support. And we are trying to develop the infrastructure, and that's going on, And I don't want to go into the fact that the institute has the movement has not only not understood our work, not only it has not supported it, it has opposed it. We have the BBT telling us, that if you do scientific preaching, then we'll give you funds. Prabhupada never said that. So it is some kind of a concoction, some kind of a not understanding anything and just speaking. You cannot say that I have a scientific degree, I know. No, that is not science. By having a scientific degree, you can know the science outside. You cannot know the science in the Bhagavatam. For that you have to be a scientist, and you have to do the work more than the scientists. So we have done it, and that's why the scientists appreciate our work. They say this is a way to do science. That's not an ordinary thing. And thank you. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Gauranga. Please fill up your... Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I would take some questions, but you can also fill up. Everybody, please do fill up and give feedback. Whatever feedback you have will be useful for us. So don't think it is not. Devotees, whatever they express is of value. I'm not saying that you people don't know anything. I'm just saying that there's more to be learnt. Who can argue that? We cannot say we know everything. And yeah, so in the meanwhile, I'll take questions, but please do fill out the thing. Anybody has any questions, put your hands up. Yes, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. One of the arguments which is made is that there are two types of knowledge, explicit and implicit. Like the birds may not be knowing the equations of aerodynamics, but they are able to fly. So, is it required that devotees need to explicitly understand the principles of science for being able to preach? Is it enough that they just...
Of course. What will you preach otherwise? You are an ignorant fool and you just say everything wrong. And what is this preaching? In spite of your preaching, people are coming. Not because of your preaching. You are basically saying, can I remain ignorant and also preach? How you can preach? Vasudeve Bhagavate Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janete Asu Jnanam Cha Vairagyam Edahaitukam. No spiritualist ever was a spiritualist without knowing matter. There is no evidence for that at all. And Bhagavatam talks about matter for pages and pages and pages before you can go. So if you say, I will know Krishna without knowing matter, Prabhupada has rejected it. Summarily rejected. He said, if you chant, you will know. Okay, you may say that I may not want to go to college and study science. Of course you cannot. That science is useless. But the science in the Bhagavatam, material science, you have to be revealed. It cannot be, you cannot know it, and you must know it. You follow what I'm saying? You must. Now if you say, no, I will only chant. Oh, you chant, but Prabhupada says you will come to know it. In other words, if your argument is that I may not have to know science the way you are doing, that will also be wrong, because this is how Lord Chaitanya is bringing it. This is for the whole world. But I have some direct access, I'll chant. Yes, but you must know this as a result of chanting. You cannot know Krishna without saying, I don't know matter. That's not possible. That Prabhupada said, ruled it out. So, this mentality is not the standard. Why do I have to know this? Of course you have to. This is like asking, do I have to know Bhagavatam to become a devotee? There are some people who say, I will only chant. No, you cannot chant only. Our modes of material nature will finish us. That is why everything must be known. There's a method, there's a procedure. There's nothing explicit or implicit. Okay, that was some kind of a Socrates type of argument. You used to always demonstrate that what you think you don't know, you know, and that's okay. But knowledge, if Prabhupada said in Bhagavatam that if after doing Krishna consciousness you do not arrive to knowledge, there's something wrong. So the issue is not about knowing material science as karmis do, but the issue is to actually know Bhagavatam scientifically. And that means knowing matter and spirit and God. So in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, in the introduction, Prabhupada writes that understanding Bhagavad Gita entails means no option. Understanding matter, spirit, God, karma and activity. So matter is mentioned. You will never see Prabhupada mention knowledge without knowledge of Krishna. Knowledge of Krishna includes knowledge of the categories that must be understood. And in fact, first. So the point is not that one must know material science the way they are doing. That is the way we are bringing it in. That is why the institute is set up. Prabhupada said, now all of you PhDs work. So it's our job. But everybody will come to understand all this. I was just the other day walking next to a house in Chennai. There was a bai, no? What do you call the servant lady? She's about 70 years old, very illiterate, sitting outside. And she was telling in Tamil to her daughter or something, my cell phone has got no charge, so I am charging it. And I have not so far downloaded that app. Tomorrow I will download. I was completely amused. I wanted to go and ask her, what do you mean by download? What do you know download? What's happening when you download? You can't ask. It has become there. Yeah, one day I was going on the street, it was raining, one fellow worker says, sir, please don't go that way. I said, why? So that wire is there. You'll say you'll get shocked. I said, why you'll get shocked? Well, there is current in it. What is current? He's not going to say current is a flow of electrons. It's an average flow. He's not. He has belief. So like that, when science is brought, we do the hard work, then everybody will understand. Today, in fact, I have given so many ideas which are very difficult to know unless you have done a lot of research. But everybody is getting the benefit. So if your question is whether you need to do understand material science to do this kind of work, yes. But does all the devotees, do they have to know material science to understand the Bhagavatam? No, but you will understand the science of matter in the Bhagavatam through this work. So this institute is essential for that. This institute is essential for expanding the horizon of Bhagavat knowledge. And that is Lord Chaitanya's project, not mine. I didn't figure out all this. Let us do this matter, this. That is another class. Did I answer your question? It's a good question, and it's an important question. I hope you all understood this question and my answer. Yes? Anybody else has? Yes? Put your hand up if you have a question. For that you have to take a small piece of paper printed by the bank, and you have to put some numbers on it and sign it, then maybe I'll tell you. She is asking the question, you said this idea that watch implies a watchmaker argument is not good scientifically and theologically, to say that there's a creator behind this creation. So what should be the argument? Okay, since you have asked, I'll give you a little bit concealed answer. It'll all come later, slowly, slowly. I have this quote in my phone. I hope I can find it. Who sent it to me? Haribol, who sent that hallucination quote? Prabhupada, we said that material world. Just give me a second here. Prabhupada, I had a quote of Prabhupada. Who sent it to me? Yes, I got it. No, here is another important quote of Prabhupada. Now you know everything, how to be a Vaishnava Brahmana. Now you must practice this thing or the whole thing will be show only. He doesn't want show bottle things. Better to develop a small number of devotees we have, make them truly Krishna conscious, boys and girls, than to go on getting many followers who do not understand and practice the real principles. Prabhupada is writing. Better one moon than many stars. So we should not be in competition to make devotees. I'm not saying we are, but I'm just saying Prabhupada. This was when Prabhupada was present on the planet. And Prabhupada always said towards, the later part of ISKCON time when he was present on the planet, he said, boil the milk, boil the milk. Because in the milk there is water, and when you boil, the water will go, milk will be. So we have so much water. Where is the water coming from? From the Gandha Kapda, mind and intelligence. It's concocting like mad. It took me more than 28 years in the movement before I could understand that everything I knew was nonsense. And believe me, I was known as a good preacher. Now I barely preach. I understood. By Prabhupada's mercy, I realized everything that I knew is meaningless. Because it is not that whatever I knew before was wrong. That is to say, we can go further. You can be a MSc in mathematics. But a top guy, a PhD professor can teach you things. There was a mathematics professor from Penn State, and I told him about one theorem and he was blown away. He said, there's such a theorem in mathematics? Can you give me your computer? I want to check the internet. In my own office he sat and checked. And he said, wow, I never knew this theorem existed. So, anoraniya mahato maya. And there will be another guy who can blow my mind. There is one person already, fortunately in my life, who can blow my mind every day, and that's Prabhupada. And I'm very happy. But the point is that we can always learn more. That's the meaning of what I'm saying. So, Prabhupada says, I'm trying, where is that quote by Sunil? Why are you sitting here? Do something. Who gave me that quote? Let me try this fellow. It's a very interesting quote, so give me just a second. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada said, he said this material world is a hallucination. Of course, Prabhupada said also material world is real but temporary. We are not Mayavadis. But Prabhupada also said this material world is a hallucination. So unless you understand, but you'll have to get that particular quote. It was a conversation, I think. And Prabhupada said that, so unless you know how this material world is a hallucination, you cannot prove or know that Krishna is the creator of this world. You follow? So I have to teach you that. Did you know that this material world is a hallucination? No. There's a science. So just because, why do you say, I asked you, did you read? I didn't ask. Did you know that this material world is hallucination? Then we must make a distinction between reading and knowing. So now answer me, do you know that this material world is hallucination? Yeah. In ISKCON, whenever we say something, every devotee will give an explanation for it. He will never ask you, what does it mean? Oh, yeah, I remember, I read that, I remember, I read this, I read. So what? You read something, so what? No. In order to know, for example, I am not the body, you need to have mystical knowledge. Suppose it is not like you are driving a car and I am not the car. That anybody can see I am not the car. And if car got into accident, I can get out. If the car is damaged, I am not damaged. Isn't it? Yantra Rudani Maya. This is not an ordinary yantra. It's not like a car. You follow what I am saying? From the car I can get out and go. Right? I see this is a table, chair. I know that I am not the chair. Why is it that you don't know I am not the body? Why are we affected by it? Good question or not? Important or not? You don't know. And you don't know. Green glass. Now let me tell you a little clue. Now, please try to understand that. Suppose you say, there is a chair in front of me. And suppose you say, I have a headache. Or I have a knee ache. Which I almost have. No, I don't have at this age. You follow what I'm saying? Right? I see a chair there. I feel a pain here. Are they the same kind of statement? Pain and chair, are they of the same type or different? Different. Chair, you can externalize. It's not me. The pain is part of you. You cannot say, I'm not the pain. Correct? But they are of the same kind. The chair is as much part of you as pain is. You should know. I have to teach you, but it is just take the conclusion. And if you can say the chair is separate from me, you can also say the pain is separate from me. So the body is also your experience. It's not an object. It is exactly like pain in the neck or pain in the knee, bodies. So you are not able to separate. But these are actually separate from you. Therefore Krishna says, Matra sparshasya kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkata agamapayino anityas tam titiksha bharata. He says these are not real, therefore tolerate. Krishna didn't say, oh, you are feeling so much pain, I will remove it. Prabhupada in one tape said, you go to sadhus, the sadhus say that we will remove your problems. But Krishna is the greatest sadhu, and he didn't say, I will remove your problems, he said, tolerate it. Because it's not real. So if you say, I am poor, you make me rich, we are basically telling Krishna that you give me instead of one illusion, another illusion. You see? That is the meaning of the Prabhupada statement that the old lady was going with stack of firewood. It was paining. And we said, oh Krishna, and Krishna appeared and said, what do you want? He said, can you please put this on this shoulder? Krishna said, sure, and he put it on that shoulder. And she felt relief, but this pain has started. So, Krishna, but the deeper point of that, the scientific point is, there is something known as a problem of qualia in science. Today morning I saw one very famous Indian has written, someone, Dr. Chopra, some complete nonsense, somebody sent it to me, that, pain and color and smell and taste are all not part of the physical world. And for this reason, blah, 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 blah. I said, what? They are part of the physical world, they are not part of you. Indriyani parani ahur indriyebhya paramanaha. You see? This is there now, let me write that. I'll read that, in fact. Yeah. Dr. Deepak Chopra. Come on, quick. Anyway, he made this point that, and how can he ever even understand he is not the body? Are you following? It is not so easy to know everything in the world is an experience. See? Can you say that your little baby is only an experience, not real? Therefore, it is difficult for ladies to take sannyas. This is a scientific reason. It's created by God, that body. It is not something to be, no. That keeps the world going. Affection of the mother, if it is not there, how can the world run? If the mother doesn't take care of the child, how will it go? Right? Therefore it is there. That's not the form in which you can take sannyas. But you can take sannyas by chastity. For a man, brahmacharya, and for a woman, chastity. These are Vedic principles. Everywhere you can go from science. So are you following? The body is an experience, it's not an object. Now I'll give you a clue. Prabhupada has said this in Bhagavad Gita in only one place in all his books, in the 13th chapter. Figure it out. So it is all there. I'm not saying this, it's all there. But you cannot see it, you cannot understand it. Are you following? So the world is also not an object. Are you following now? Therefore, what did Krishna create? You have to know. Before you can say Krishna created it. Are you now becoming clear? I'm just giving little clues. If we think the world is an object, that's not what Krishna created, and Big Bang is sufficient for that. That is why Hawking said that, well, God is not necessary for us to create theories about creation. Of course, because you are creating theories about the world, it's called the external world. So it's a deep science. I can explain it to you very simply also, but I don't want to. Because then it will get misused. Let it wait till the science comes out. Is that clear? Lots of things are there, so much to say. Any other questions?
Prabhuji,
Otherwise,
meaning of phenomenal and nominal.
Who's asked that question? I see. Who told that to you? To ask? Not to be discussed, confidential knowledge. I always say about Prabhupada, people may not understand Prabhupada, but they cannot misunderstand him. Very clear whatever he said. I'm the exact opposite. Not only you will not understand what I say, but you'll also misunderstand. But because this work is right now very confidential. But it's going to come out very soon, but I'll wait. It is not my knowledge, it's Lord Chaitanya's knowledge. It will come out when he wants. Just like if somebody gave you $1 million and said you keep it, whenever I tell somebody you give that knowledge. You are not rich. You have got the money, when he says you'll distribute. Like that, whatever I have, I'm not a wise man. It's Lord Chaitanya's knowledge. Whenever he wants, it will come out. But my only sincere desire and prayer and humble submission to all of you is that you please understand that Krishna consciousness is a different process. This thing of just reading through our own mind and intelligence is okay in the beginning. I can say more things, you'll get shocked. Well, I won't. We'll stop here. Please return the feedback forms, and I think there'll be prasadam after this. I will also get some prasadam or no? No? I don't know. After the class, I'm not sure. Okay. People might say, you didn't say Krishna one time. No, I did say Krishna, right? Sometimes, few times I said. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.